Hello students, welcome to this online class. Today in this video we shall discuss about chemical weathering and biological weathering. We have discussed in the previous video about the mechanical weathering or the physical weathering and the factors which are responsible for the disintegration of rocks. So today in this video we shall discuss about chemical weathering followed by the biological weathering. What is chemical weathering? The decomposition of rocks is called chemical weathering. There are some rocks where the minerals are present and that comes with the water and air. So it tries to react or it changes its original character. That is called the chemical weathering. It involves the breaking down of rocks by altering or dissolving the rock minerals due to chemical action or changes. It is more common in hot and humid regions. So, chemical weathering is more common in hot and humid regions. It is a slow process as compared to mechanical weathering. So, it is a very slow process. Mechanical weathering may take less time, but it will take more time. The gradual decomposition of the rocks takes place due to exposure to air and water. So, remember two elements of weather that mainly play or the responsible for the chemical weathering is air and water. For example, water containing oxygen from the air may change iron in the rocks to iron oxide or iron compounds. So when the iron is wet, we can see the rust coming out from the top layer of the iron. So that is how the chemical reaction takes place. The factors these are the following factors that are responsible for the chemical weathering. The first one is oxidation. Second one is hydration. Third one is carbonation. And the fourth one is solution. From the term you can understand oxidation means oxygen along with the water. Then hydration, water is present. Then again carbonation means carbon dioxide. Solution means the mineral which is easily soluble like salt content. So let's discuss one by one all these factors. First one, that is oxidation. When oxygen in the air and water reacts with minerals in the rock, oxidation takes place. So remember oxidations, that means when the oxygen present in the air and water that come in contact air and water, so that reacts and oxidation takes place. For example, most rocks contain a certain amount of iron. Most of the rocks are containing or they have the presence of iron, which when comes in contact with air and water containing oxygen changes into iron oxide. So if the minerals are having the iron content, they come contact with the water and oxygen, air. So what happens? They changes their forms into iron oxide. Iron oxide crumbles easily and is far more easily eroded than original iron. As it is removed, the rocks are weakened and thus decomposed. Oxidation not only changes the composition of rock minerals but also its appearance and obtains brownish crust or rust. I suppose rust you understand. When the iron is wet, the rust comes out. The soils thus formed are reddish brown in color or red soils. So red soils are mainly formed because of this chemical process of oxidation. Then next point is that hydration. The chemical reaction of water with minerals changes the proportion and composition of rocks and minerals. For example, feldspar, a silicate of aluminum, absorbs water and becomes a mass of clay or kaolin, and whatever is left behind is a residue of sand. It weakens the rock and ultimately the rock breaks up. So what happens when the hydrations takes place, the reaction of water and minerals, what happens? There are feldspar which absorbs more water. So when the minerals absorbing more water, it will be trying to make the mineral clay like. So what happens, that is washed away, and that is trying to break the rock, to make the rock very weak. Next point is carbonation. Carbonation means the presence of carbon dioxide. Carbonation is the reaction of carbonic acid on minerals. Rainwater, whenever mixed with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, forms a weak solution of carbonic acid. It acts on rocks containing limestone and chalk. So, carbon dioxide, mainly the rocks like limestone and chalk, it will react and try to break down the rocks. The reaction results in calcium bicarbonate, which is highly soluble and gets easily washed away in solution as it flows through the rocks or seeps below the surface. Weathering of limestone regions in this way gives rise to various landforms like stalactites and the stalagmites in the limestone region. So, if the carbon dioxide is mixed with the rainwater and the place where the limestones are found more, there the new landforms are formed. The new landforms, two important new landforms that you must remember is stalactites and the stalagmites. So these are two landforms that is formed due to the reaction of carbonations and the presence of the limestone in the minerals. Then you can see the picture as well, the stalactites and the stalagmites. Fourth point is there solution. Solution means the presence of salt in the minerals. So as you know, the salt will be easily able to dissolve when you put in the water. In the same way, some of the rocks are present with the salt content. When the rainwater reacts with the minerals present in the rocks, it dissolves them. When it seeps below the ground through joints, gaps and creeps, it further dissolves the soluble minerals, forming a solution and separates the insoluble minerals. The rocks which is present the salt content and the rocks which are not present the salt content, what happens? It separates them. Those which can be soluble become soluble, and those cannot be soluble become insoluble. So, causing decomposition of rocks. For example, rock salt and gypsum are examples of minerals that separate by the solution. So, rock, salt and gypsum are example of the solution chemical weathering. So, these were the four factors responsible for the chemical weathering. Now, let's see about the biological weathering. Biological weathering means mainly the rocks are broken down with the help of animals or plants. Biotic factors like plants and animals also cause weathering of rocks. First one is plants. The roots of plants grow into the cracks and creeps in search of water or nourishment. As they grow, they exert great pressure on the rocks and the breakup. What happens when the plant grows up? You might have seen some of the walls, or some of the houses, buildings, the plant grows, and when it grows very big, it tries to break the wall or building. So same way, when it is nearby the rock and the rock is present around there, what happens when the plant grow? They also break the rock. In that way, they are also helping them to break the rocks and helping them to disintegration of rocks. Sometimes the roots of plants produce carbonic acid, which changes the composition of certain minerals in the rocks. Right. Next one is animals. Burrowing animals also cause breakup of rocks. They cause loosening or weakening of the rocks and expose them to the other agents of weathering. So what are burrowing? Burrowing the animals. When the animals dig holes on the surface of the earth, they dig holes like snakes and the rats or any other the creatures which make hole, and when water gets inside, it becomes it breaks down. Water gets in the holes. What happens? It will break down. It weakens the soil. It weakens the rocks. So in that way, they are also helping them to break down the rocks. Human activities such as road construction, work, mining, farming and deforestation cause weathering and disintegration of rocks. So human beings also contribute for the breaking down of rocks. For mining, they extract minings and they break down. Bomb blasting will be there again. They will be extracting with the so many mechanic these machines. So what happened that breaks road constructions. They clear out all the rocks and they break down, as well as deforestation also as one of the cause of weathering by the human beings. Now there are two effects of weathering. Is very important, often asked in the exam. Constructive effects and the destructive effects. Constructive effects means advantages. It is good for the surface of the earth. Destructive means it is not good for the surface of the earth. It is disadvantage, demerit of effects. So let's see effects of weathering. The decomposition and disintegration of rocks brings about a lot of changes on the earth's surface. Its effects are both constructive as well as destructive. It will be having both the causes, constructive as well as the destructive. So there are 4 constructive effects and 3 destructive effects. So first constructive effects are weathering leads to soil formation, which is required for agriculture. So as we know that soil is good for the agriculture. So weathering leads to soil formation. When the soil is formed, it is good for the agriculture. Then second one is the weathering process leads to exposure of new minerals, which becomes easy to be exploited. For example, chemical weathering gives rise to many new minerals having economic value. So due to the weathering, sometimes it is exposed to new valuable minerals, so that people can extract and exploit it and make money for the economic purpose. Third one is weathering may provide new landscape, for example cart topography. So weathering may form new landform. You might have seen landscape, the wallpaper you might have applied in computer or PC or in the smartphone. There are different types of wallpapers of the rocks nature. That is the cart topography, or it is due to the weathering of the weathering takes place. Weathering may provide building materials like cement and limestone. So weathering also provides or contributes the building materials of cement and limestones. Coming toward the destructive effects, there are 3 destructive effects that we must understand and learn. The first one, mechanical weathering may cause extensive soil erosion, which may affect agriculture. So the destructive effect is soil erosion. When the top layer of the rock is washed away, or the top layer of the soil is being washed away, it is loosened by the animals, human beings or any other factors, it will be causing the soil erosion, which is not good for the agriculture. Top layer of the minerals are washed away. Then landslides may cause havoc in mountainous areas. In the mountainous areas, due to the weathering, sometimes landslides takes place. It blocks the roads, it destroys many of the landforms, it carries the land and properties are damaged. Then we have the last one, that is chemical weathering may dissolve the soluble components of the soils. This may cause the soils to become infertile and may affect farming activities. So in the soil, a lot of minerals are there, which is good for the agriculture. But due to the weathering, some of the minerals may be washed away or may be dissolving, and it will affect or it will make the soil infertile. The crops may not grow how much it's supposed to grow. Okay, so what happens in that way? It affects the farming activities. So these were the two types of weathering that we have discussed, that is chemical weathering and the biological weathering. I hope you understood, and any queries, any doubt you have, please leave your comments in the YouTube, as well as you can ask a doubt in WhatsApp. Thank you so much for watching this video so patiently. Have a nice day. All the best.